Okay. We are recording from Arlington, Vermont, and these are hobbies that make me happy. Oh, hello there, Tracksite Mike. Thank you for coming in. Let's see. Got two sound. Hello there, Carly. Or Dwight, I should say. All right. And it looks like everything is working except for the red gun on my CRT, which I have the task manager running on. So looks like I might actually have to get an actual new monitor. Hello, Grandpa Rails. Thank you for coming in. But it's one of those things of I'm using the third monitor as just showing what's going, basically what is going on. Yeah, when I was doing stuff with New Tracks modeling, I would use the front monitor on the laptop as a showing this what the gallery view was, so I could see everybody. The big screen, that was basically what almost was being broadcast to YouTube. That was the main speaker view. And then I would use the third monitor for basically keeping track of what's happening on YouTube, which had, I want to say almost a 15-second delay. Now that I've been doing my own stuff on StreamYard and all that, it's basically I've been using that for Task Manager, because every now and then when I could see either the disk drive or the CPU hitting 100%, I would know that, well, I might lose the stream and all that. But it is one of those things of this monitor. Even when I'm not using StreamYard, I still have all three monitors working and all that, which I don't pay attention to the CRT that much and all that, because that just has the task manager on it. So it's one of those things I don't think I really, quote, need it, but it's sort of like a tach meter on an automatic. It's nice to have, but it's not necessarily needed. Actually, even on a standard, it's not really needed, because you're hearing how high the engine is revving to go, all right, I need to change gear and all that. So, but I would assume first learning on how to do a standard and all that, knowing where the RPM is a good thing. But tonight, I have going to be starting a different diorama now. This is going to have the covered truss bridge on it. I'm going to, unlike the other dioramas where I did the bridge first, then the diorama, this one I'm going to start a little bit different. It's starting a little bit with the diorama first, and getting the scenery, the base of the scenery correct before starting the bridge. Plus, I also have to remember where I put all the parts. Yes, a new one, and basically this, so I can figure out. Basically, my layout is too small to have a bridge on it, unless it's a really, really, really small one. Hello there, Wigwag. Thank you for our sign. what I'm working on tonight is the beginning of a new diorama. And using the it's a plywood base of 1x2 plywood base with some things I got from work. One of the things, since I make, the company makes beds and all that, medical beds, and not beds but mattresses for medical and what we call consumer. We get the rolls of fabric, and the fabric is, there's spacers that are put in between the fabric so they don't roll. They're made out of recycled cardboard, and they have a slight dip in them, and it sort of makes sort of a very nice valley. And there are flat sections that I'm putting the roadbed on. This time I might do something slightly different also, because it's a very wide. This one's off of a very large. This is off of a very large roll, so it's a much deeper and wider valley, basically. There was a suggestion. Ooh, lily pads and cattails. I honestly don't know where to find them. I believe that they make them, but I honestly don't know where to find them. For some reason, I'm thinking, can't think of the name of the Knock, I think. I want to say one of the German firms, I think, has them, where they have where they've they make every single flower you can think of. Because I do not think Woodland Scenes does all the flowers. They do, they do what they do, all the natural ones, but all the oddball, all the lesser known ones they stay away from. But that's actually, now that you mention it, that's when I'm still having issues with the pond that I made. I tried. It's one of those things that the more I'm trying to make it look decent, the worse it's getting. So it might be might be a thing that I might have to actually rip the whole thing out and try it again. That's one of the reasons why I sort of put that aside, because that's the last thing that needs to be done on it. And I threw in some more diluted Mod Podge earlier, and it's not dry, so I guess we'll start something new. Sort of, let's see, time to switch cameras, which for some reason the settings moved. I got two webcams, and unfortunately it won't let me rename the cameras. Actually, that might be something to ask later on. But this is looks like I also need to reposition the camera. All right. Sorry for the jankiness, but this is basically, I got them. Ow. I might have got a sliver off of that. But yeah, this is, I've already sort of kind of cut them into pieces. But you can see this is where the roll of fabric would be. Originally they are designed to sort of be like this. So you would have like one roll here, and then you would have one roll here, and then also another roll on this side. But these are much larger. The ones that I've had with the covered bridge, they were a little bit smaller, and they had set up for, I think, 4. Whereas I believe these are large enough that they only go 3. If you want, you can actually, probably. I think that's their number there. But yeah, it's there's a bunch of companies that apparently make these things. This is a little bit right now too wide. You can actually see how they're overlapping a little bit. So what I'm planning on doing tonight is shortening up this gap a little bit. Probably cutting it there. And then also using plaster cloth or possibly some thin piece of a little bit of thin cardboard, to sort of be able to sort of flatten this out a little bit. But let's see, I'm trying to remember what I used to cut these. Let's put that one to the side. And then it's one of those things, I had everything all set. Now that I want to do stuff, I was going to mark it here, but my mechanical pencil has seemed to have walked away on me, which I'll probably find after everything is offline. But since this is pretty much pressed paper, I'll probably turn around and figure it out that way. All right, so you can press it that way. It's sort of see, we can cut this out, make it closer, but this can't really cut it because if we take it away, then nothing's going to be supporting this. So these I think I'll probably cut and then sort of like push them in, but I can't really make them go away because I need them for support. Yeah, the water thing is hard to get done right, or at least it's amazing on how it's like, this is what you do and all that. You do it, and they make it, professionals make it look so easy, but then when you try to do it, it's like there's something, I almost want to say there's like a muscle memory that seems to be missing. Now, good thing about the quote base, you don't have to be too precise on it because it's all going to be hidden. All right, now we'll push that in so it'll be flatter. The same thing on this side. Something over here. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to make these things narrow enough so it all fits onto this. Right now they overhang just a little bit. And then we do the same thing for this side. It's one of those things of, even if you wind up, I guess, overboard, always turn around and you're doing the base of whatever you're doing, you can sort of kind of make a lot of mistakes because, well, they're going to be buried. Let's see if I can get this close. Now, one thing that was suggested, I don't know if it was Boxcar Jerry himself or somebody in his chat, but there was a mention of doing like a canal. And it's one of those things that might be interesting. So I might go that direction. Of course, that might be a little bit even harder to do because usually canals are usually very calm water. And what I've been doing lately with the water I've been doing has been more rough water. But not quite, it's one of those things I'm not quite sure how to do that. All right. And from here we'll But one thing I'm thinking of, with the quote canal, maybe having like having the stream here and the canal here with a retaining wall and a towpath over here. Of course, that might be interesting that way. All right. All right, that's off. Let's break that way. Now let's see how these fit. Will they now fit on the 1x2? All right, still have to manhandle the slopes a bit. All right. Ooh, all right. This looks like they're gonna fit much better now onto the 1x2. They're not overly as much as they were before. Now, of course, now I got this big hole here, but we put some stiff cardboard in between there. That should theoretically make it okay. All right. So flip this over and we'll start adding glue. Now, these things are obviously not designed for this. So you go out of the camera range. And probably a whole bunch in the center here. All right, now that's there, that's there. And one of the things I did recently get, our 1, 2, 3 blocks finally came in. So put a set there. Put a block here. All right. Well, so far I only opened up one set so far. So let's open up the other two sets. These are 1, 2, 3 blocks from Micro Mart. They come in, well, come in plastic, and they're also wrapped up in not sure what this is called. I mean, this is almost like a very thin tissue paper and oil soaked, and it just peels right off. So it's not like a wax paper or anything like that, but we might be able to do it better this way. And now I do the same thing with this side. And also these 1, 2, 3 blocks. Yeah, so it almost took me, I say 6 months to get these from Micro Mart. I mean, but they had stock. I got pretty much right away. But things like these 1, 2, 3 blocks that were not in stock took almost 6 months in order to get. And there's one thing I'm still waiting for, which is a lathe or milling machine attachment for the lathe. Yeah, this stuff is this is like tissue paper. It's so fragile. It's just disintegrating while taking it off. But it makes it so that they're not all rusted by the time they get here. But these 1, 2, 3 blocks, I want to say they do have they are partially threaded. But right now I can't tell exactly what the thread is. I almost want to say it's like 5/8. 5/8, 20? I'm not quite sure. But basically do the same thing on this side. And just go, no, that's for the center here. Oops, sorry. Did not mean to hit the camera. All right, I believe that's going to be for that. Got to sort of think how everything else is going to go here. Now, original plan was to maybe have the bridge possibly at an angle, just to add a little bit more interest. That's what the first one I did. That was using a flat piece with actual abutments. But I'm thinking for this one, as I said, right here, have where the 1, 2, 3 blocks are, is like have where a canal would be, with a towpath more on this end, then have an actual free flowing stream over here, like I have like the ones I have been doing, just to add a little bit more interest. It looks like I have plenty of room to do so. Yeah, the more I'm looking at this, the more I'm sort of kind of liking the idea. Now I don't know what would be the correct size for a canal would be. I'm trying to think. The original Erie Canal, if I remember correctly, was 4 foot deep. And then when it was deepened and all that, it was 7 foot deep. So it would be, we can get away with an inch. Yeah, an inch is just over 7 feet. I'm trying to remember how wide they are. Let's see. The block is these 1, 2, 3 blocks are 15 inches or 15 scale feet wide. Now, if I remember correctly, barges are obviously wider than steam locomotives, especially in the U.S. I had to do research on that, find out what it is, but it looks like, you know, the depth. I have plenty of room for depth here. So yeah, I could do it that way, but I might have this straight across, or might have it straight across. Yes, Micromart is a little on. They are on the little expensive side. I bought a lathe off of them, and the main reason why I bought the lathe is when I looked at the other variations of the same lathe. One, it was much longer. It's the longest. Out of all of the mini lathes, it's the one that's the longest. It's so long they actually send it in 2 pieces because it winds up being too heavy to be a single piece. So they send the bed in one box, and then they send all the other parts in the other. But the main reason is why not only did I get it because it was longer, also they're more set up for decimal. The other mini lathes, for a while there, I couldn't figure out. At first I thought they were like metric, but then they added a wheel on there, which was so each rotation was it wasn't an even inch. And for the longest time, I thought it was metric, and then they just did a conversion on there, and that's why they didn't line up. Eventually, I found out that they are inch machines, but they're fractional machines, not decimal machines. So every 16 rotation, with that, it's like everything was divided into sixteenths. Whereas this Micromart machine, even though they call it a true inch, all the machines are inch machines. It's just that they, instead of their decimal machines, instead of fractional machines, because it does by the other ones do everything by every turn of the crank is 1/16. So if you want 1/8, you went to you did it twice. If you wanted 3/8, you did obviously 3 times. Quarter inches, you turn the thing 4 times. And that's what, from what I understand, a lot of the imperial stuff for a while was set up that way, where it was done with fractions instead of decimals. But the Micro machine is set up with decimals, and that's what I sort of kind of originally learned on. And that's why I went with the Micromart machine. Plus, I wanted to be able to do parts that were larger than HO scale. Because, one of my hobbies that I haven't been doing since I've been in Vermont is working with bicycles. And because riding around here is a little dangerous to do so. But that's something for another time. All right, so I got 15 minutes to go. All right, now my idea to cover up this is using 3x5 cards. Sort of fill in the gaps. So we'll go that way. But yeah, it looks like I'm going to go this way with the where the tracks are. Go 90 degrees apart, or 90 degrees apart over, just similar to what I did with the covered bridge. And then fill in the gap there. The 3x5 cards. And same thing for here. So yeah, tonight's basically the gluing down the base. Filling all the little gaps of stuff. And then on top of the 3x5 cards, like the pretty much like the last one I did, is do the plaster cloth across it and all that to smooth things out even more. And that's one of the things of probably a lot of the stuff that I've been doing is not really paying attention too much with the details. But one of the things of doing this is then figuring out, after I get everything down, is to figure out what the direction of flow of the river is going to be. Which I'll probably make that determination after putting down everything for the plaster cloth. Plaster cloth will give me the quote-unquote direction of the stream. All right. All right, looks like we're going to go this way for that. Then we'll, after that, add those. Well, for those who are waiting for Sidetrack Sunday, from my understanding, it's Nissy's time tonight. Yeah, we need to add more on this side. So I do not know what Missy is up to for tonight. I get the impression she might not either. But that's the things with live streams. Sometimes you have to go with the flow instead of trying to get everything perfect. All right. Get that there, get that there. It's more of the more important parts. All right. Now we will add these. Let's see how many. 3, 2. So, yeah, being the preliminary version of this, it's not what you want to call exciting because you're just starting out on this. Things don't usually get interesting until farther down the line. All right. We got some unexpected extra pieces that were cut for some reason and can be used this way. All right. All right. It looks like I'm barely out of camera range here. But these pieces of 3x5 card are designed just to give support to the plaster cloth that's going to go over them next week. Let's see. Now I do have a spot over here. Let's see. Is it going to be 1 or 2? I can get away with 1. And this is going to be the fun part because I can't see that direction. So we'll put it on here and hope for the best. So put the glue on the 3x5 card. and put it down there, and hopefully it stays. Now, if you notice, I got gaps here, but that will be eventually covered over by the plaster cloth. But I am liking the idea of having canal on one side and the river on the other. The river might have to go up higher. Because a lot of times if there is a canal, usually the stream's twice as wide. And there's usually right in here, there's like a little buffer zone between that and the retaining wall. That's from what I've seen so far. But who knows? Well, I guess this will be drying until next week. And it looks about time to close out for this evening, for the end of this week. All right. Bounce the camera around because I'm putting the all right. Well, hello there, Mystic. Thank you for coming in. Okay, now I am here. Well, is Micromart the biggest ripoff? It depends on what you want. I mean, it's like with the 1, 2, 3 blocks, I probably could have got them for Harbor Freight for a hell of a lot less. But for the lathe, I would lean towards probably that probably is worth the money that I bought for it. But sometimes everything is relative. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for and one with customer service and all that. I was thinking originally with going with Grizzly, but as I got looking into it, doing that, probably if I had realized that it was that most mini lathes are set up in fractional, basically dividing in half until you got, you divide it in half, you get 1/2, divide it again, you get 1/4, divide it again, you get 1/8, and then divide it again, you get 1/16. And that's what all those machines are set up as 1/16. Ooh, JTT Scenery Products. I vaguely remember seeing them. Well, the thing is that since the pandemic, a lot has changed with the hobby shops that are around here. There's a hobby shop that was an hour north of me, which was more, I want to say, more of a collector shop than an actual hobby shop, because they didn't really have that much in not much in glues, scratch building stuff. It was more of, hey, here's a completed thing, and here, go ahead and buy the completed thing, not things that are. It was more collectibles, and went last Friday up there because I had to work a 10-hour shift on Friday. Went there and the sign is completely gone, and in the window is one of those little, we're constructing something signs. So my assumption that they're no longer in business. So it's one less. I never really went into the place because, as I said, they're more for collectors than modelers. They had a lot of model car kits, RC car kits. Everything's still in its pristine original box, and a lot of different collectibles, like from movies and stuff like that. So it didn't really have that much in model train stuff. There was one locomotive I did wind up buying from there. And the guy said, "Well, I never tested it and all that," and giving me a whole spiel and all that. And I'm like, all right, well, if it doesn't work, I'll make it for parts and all that. And it was a little expensive, but it's like, all right, I bought the thing, I brought it home, and it was still sealed in its packaging. And I'm like, oh yeah, again, it's more of a collector's thing and all that. So it's one of those things that made sense that it was still factory shrink wrapped. I didn't take it out. I still have it in there. Then I wound up buying, this was about a year later, I wound up buying basically the same model. It was a Mantua General. Same exact color. Very ugly. The thing was completely blue except for the wheels, which I think were red, and I think the smokestack was red. I forgot. I guess it's one of the things that that the Mantua General was colored in. It was a later model because it had a I want to say a conversion coupler, because the coupler could either couple to a regular horn hook or X2F or whatever it was called, or a KD coupler. And so that's that shows you about what the era of this particular model was. Wound up buying a second one, same color and all that. Again, I was planning on using it for parts, and it was not in the original Mantua box. It was in a completely different box and all that. But then when I took it out of the box, it was factory sealed. So it's like whoever had it, they lost the original box, but they never took it out of the original packaging. Weird, but it's like, again, so I got two locomotives, both factory sealed, in the same exact color scheme. Never took them out because, well, I don't need them for parts yet. So it's one of those things of, I might, turn around and see about, maybe as give it, to a different collector, saying that, here, it's sealed. It probably runs, because I assume they tested it before it left the factory. If it doesn't run, it's like, all right, take the corrosion off and away it goes. But yeah, I originally bought them for parts because I was buying Mantua Generals. I get I got plenty of locomotives now. I don't need any more. But it's one of those things of since the companies that making these specific locomotives that I have, except for Bachmann, they're no longer in business, or they're no longer in business, or they're no longer making model train. They're not in the model train industry. Tyco is still in business, but they make security systems. They don't make model trains. Which, from what I understand, Tyco actually stands for toy company, but now they do electronics. But it's one of those things of also, I found out recently that the Bachmann locomotives and the Mantua General, they are HO scale. Yeah, it's very strange, but there's a lot of MTV, music television, no longer does music videos. So, not quite that strange. I've heard that the History Channel, they're all home. It's all home improvement videos or shows now. It's one of those things. But yeah, and the thing is that a lot of the River Rossi / Poacher locomotives are actually OO scale, so they're actually larger. They are a larger scale than HO scale. So they you put them together, one looks massively larger than the other. However, I'm going to be using that to my advantage as I do the 6-foot gauge stuff, because the 6-foot gauge, just like the narrow gauge equipment looks smaller than standard gauge, the broad gauge stuff looks bigger than HO's, looks bigger than standard gauge. So my plan is to take the River Rossi ones, re-gauge them so they're 6-foot gauge, and shorten the cabs so they would look flatter, and then just change all the little details like the headlight. The headlight is correct size for OO scale, but it's way too large for HO scale. So if you put an HO scale one on there, it's going to look weird. It's going to look weird because not many people are used to seeing broad gauge locomotives. For someone who turns around and sees a narrow gauge locomotive for the first time, it's like, wow, the headlight looks way too massively large on it. But on a broad gauge locomotive, it's going to look ridiculously small because the engine is bigger, but all the headlights are all the same size. So that's and same thing with the changing out the bell to make it more the right size. So making all the smaller details the correct size, but the boiler and the tender and other details are going to look, they're going to be OO scale and look larger. Until I, get brave enough to actually scratch build something from scratch, and then even the rivets will be the same size. What? Excuse me. Well, with that coughing and all that, I'll sign off so people will have 10 minutes to do what they need to do before Nissy comes on and does her thing at Sidetrack Sunday. So I believe the world needs more love, so find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around. Bye, everyone.